And that was Bongo Jim.
Woo! Welcome back, everybody, to our show. It's Thursday, and we're going to have a smashing time today. Why? Because we have great things happening. I'm here with my co-host, Special Ed Molesky.
Yes.
How's it going, Special Ed?
It's going well.
You feeling special? Got any special needs today?
You know, I got to tell you.
Done any special meds?
Nope. Everything's been...
How about Donald Trump today announcing that he's quite convinced that he's the most popular president ever?
Well,
that's interesting.
He's certainly the most popular president that they have right now.
I think he's definitely probably the most talked about president ever. He's certainly used in more punchlines than
Is this the day the House gets passed over to the Democrats?
This was the day.
Today.
Nancy Pelosi is the new Speaker of the House.
Nancy.
Yep, Democrats.
You know what? I'm not sure about this, but someone has said that if you look at her net worth from the time she got into politics to now, it's gone up pretty dramatically.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
Really?
Been a good run for her.
Isn't that why you get into politics?
Yep. Yeah, not to help people.
No.
To help yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So
what's going on today, for instance?
Well, we signed the TCP/IP partnership.
TCP?
PCP, Ed. PCP. TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership. Anyways, today we're going to have the news with Ricky at 3:05. We've got the Grown Rogue CEO, Obi Strickland, joins us today again. Brandon Colwell's going to sit in here for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to broaden the conversation into a bit of a three-way what. We've got some viewer questions. We've got some trivia questions.
Look at some charts.
We've got a water cooler at 4:05.
You know, the price of natural gas was $4.90 maybe 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And today it hit $2.90.
No.
Yeah. These are monster moves. These are epic.
So, but that was a monster move that took it up over what, to 410?
$4.90.
$4.90.
$4.90.
Okay. No, but that was not a result of a breakdown in supply versus demand.
Well,
was it?
Actually, there was some talk about another polar vortex starting to, and we had a much colder than normal November.
We did?
Yeah, we did.
Really?
We did. Yeah, you were probably spaced out in some crazy drunken.
What are you talking about? I was here for most of November.
Drug-infused sort of road trip.
And what's wrong with that?
Well, what's wrong with it is you don't know if it's warm or cold. Anyway, Get past that man another joint. Anyway, so that when they do the storage numbers every week, there was a big drawdown, a much bigger drawdown in natural gas inventories than expected. So that got the thing sort of pointing north, and then the shorts started to cover. And as you remember, that outfit out in Florida went under.
California.
Florida.
Was it Florida? What was it called?
Sell only calls or something. We know what we're doing. And then the guy got on and cried and said, my family's been destroyed. Fortunately, I didn't follow my own advice. No. Anyway, sit up straight. Okay.
Is that God talking to you, Ed, when you sit up straight?
I listen because I don't want to incur the wrath of God.
No, nobody does.
Anyway, look.
I know some people who don't mind.
And then the temperature is much milder in December, and looks like January is going to be very mild, so the price of natural gas
crapped out the other way.
What?
So so let's look at the whole situation globally. Like the cannabis stocks did great yesterday.
Yeah.
Because the short sellers were still on vacation. Today they're, drifting back. Few of the companies are doing good, but the large cap index, if we were to look at...
Can we look at it now?
Well, I don't know about that. If you were to pull up... Okay, Ed, maybe you could pull up the cannabis indices.
Okay,
but Ed's got such a small screen. Not that there's anything wrong with that, Ed.
You know what? Sometimes a small screen is effective.
Really? So it's not the size of the man in the fight, the size of the fight in the man? Kind of thing?
Here we go. Go to index page. Here we go.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Yeah, C6788.
Now this, okay, so today the candle, a little bit red, not big, 1.3%. Canopy growth, let's see, the biggest loser, Auxly down 5%. Canopy Growth next. But we got some winners still in this.
Hexo, look at Hexo is almost back to where they announced that deal with that so-called deal with Molson.
Boy, oh boy, I got to tell you, I'm gonna maybe go in there tomorrow and do some shorting.
Yeah. What are you making about Aphria? What's Aphria telling you about the transaction?
They're having a really difficult time filling that gap from about $8.80 to $10. There's a gap on that chart.
$8.80 to $10. It's at $8.08, Ed.
Well, on the way down from 10 to 880, there's a gap. It closed one day around 10:05. It opened the next day at 880, and then it went from 880 down to about 450. But it's never been back over that 880. So there's a gap between 10 and 880.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so you would think if the market was taking seriously the hostile takeover bid from Green Growth Brands. At $11, then Aphria would be trending towards $11 a share at least.
But the other one would be moving too, wouldn't it?
No, the other one should be going south. The takeover always suffers a decrease in
But
cost.
didn't they say that for this thing to work at $11, then they're valuing GGB at $7?
Well, no, GGB has to. Yeah, GGB said they're doing the share part of the takeover at a deemed value of $7 a share.
Well, it's not $7.
No, it's $4.60.
Well, what would you rather have? I'd rather have $7.
Personally, I'd rather have had Aphria at 80 cents.
I'd like to have Aphria for free.
And then at which point...
maybe that's why they called it Aphria, because the insiders all got their stock for free. That's a joke. That's a joke. No, never got it for free. No.
Yeah, but so anyway, so if you were a betting man, would you say that the Aphria transaction is going to go ahead? We're actually going to have Peter Horvath here next week.
You know what? Again, this is just technical mumble jumbo. This is my view. Based on everything I've seen, all what I've seen, I have to say right now, there's been a lot of damage done. Some of the better companies are separating from some of the smaller companies, as we see with M&A activity.
Separating the men from the boys.
The wheat from the chaff, so to speak.
Oh, there we go.
Is that when you have chaff hands, or is that chapped hands? What?
Cha?
Hi there. Okay, so look, here we go. This is American. This is I wanna put up Aphria in Canada.
Okay. Uh-oh.
What?
Why does BMO always call me when I'm in the middle of a show? Really? How about we just turn that off? Thank you guys. Goodbye.
Okay, here we go. Okay, there we go. Let's put up a 6 month.
What do you got, Ed? What do you got?
Okay, so there's Aphria, and again, we're having difficulty breaching this.
Who's we?
We?
Is it in we?
The so-called crowd of long or bullish
Aphria holders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So look, there's a gap there. It's still there, and we've got this line here.
Right.
I can't draw very straight, but
why not?
Let me try it again. So look. If this starts to roll over, and we've had now several days of very big volume. We've had no clarification, or very little clarification. Yeah, I think it's going to test. I think it's going to go back and test the $5-6 level.
Really?
Unless something dramatic happens here, and I can understand, GGB looking at this saying, "Hey, look, they've built this major organization.
Yeah.
Let's steal it from them."
That's a good idea. Anyways, here's Ricky with the news.
Thanks, and here are the headlines moving markets today. The Green Organic Dutchman Holdings Limited has signed a royalty-bearing commercial sublicense with Enwave Corporation and Tilray Inc. Enwave has developed Radiant Energy Vacuum, an innovative proprietary method for the precise dehydration of organic materials. The license grants Tilray an exclusive right to use and sublicense Enwave's technology in Canada, and grants TGOD the right to use the technology to dry organic cannabis in its Canadian operations. MPX Bioceutical Corporation have announced that advisory firms Institutional Shareholder Services Inc. and Glass Lewis & Co. LLC have recommended security holders of MPX vote in favor of the proposed transaction in which Ianthus Capital Holdings Inc. will acquire all of the issued and outstanding common shares of MPX. Under the arrangement, holders of MPX common shares will receive 0.167 of a common share of Ianthus and 0.1 of a common share of MPX International Corporation, a newly created entity which will hold the non-U.S. assets of MPX. Tilt Holdings Inc. have made an agreement to acquire Jupiter Research, a leading inhalation and vaporization technology company, to further expand its technology ecosystem and B2B reach across the supply chain. The company signed a definitive agreement on January 2nd to acquire Jupiter Research for $210 million to bolster Tilt's hardware offerings. Grown Rogue International Inc. has announced the appointment of Adam Wolf as the Chief Operating Officer of the company. Mr. Wolf has extensive experience, which includes 15 years with the Hyatt Hilton Hotels and leadership roles at Teleflora. RavenQuest Biomed Inc. have acquired a 51% interest in British Columbia-based One Life Cannabis Corporation. One Life will use RavenQuest's 24,000 square foot facility, and it has submitted plans to Health Canada for a large, centralized extraction and processing facility, as well as multiple small grow rooms. Charlotte's Web Holdings Inc. announced that Eugenio Mendez has joined the company in the newly formed role of Chief Growth Officer. Mr. Mendez comes to Charlotte's Web from the Coca-Cola Company. As the company's Chief Growth Officer, he will lead the company's business development, marketing, and sales functions. International Cannabrands Inc. announced that their lifestyle brand, Julian Marley Juju Royal, has signed a new distribution agreement with Northern Lights Distribution. Northern Lights is a cannabis distribution business with approximately 200 dispensaries in California, and it is licensed for both medical and adult-use recreational distribution. And that's your news for today.
Big news, Ed.
Lots going on, but it's a quiet week. Quiet week.
Yeah, I know. You could shoot a cannon straight down the hallway.
What was really obvious was the lack of people in the concourse yesterday. Like, there's a lot of people, and a lot of stores, restaurants that you might want to, go have that favorite libation on Monday afternoon after a little, you're feeling a little down. It's like a little pick me up,
I've got a case of Negronis in there.
No time like the present.
That's a good point. Suzanne, can we have 2 Negronis, please? On ice.
Make mine a double.
Well, do you hear that? They're all doubles, it turns out.
On the double.
On the double, come on. It's Christmas still.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't I get a present?
Ed, I want to talk a bit about what's going on here macroeconomically, because all joking aside, you've got copper going down. You've got gold flirting with 1 year plus highs.
Yeah.
You've got oil absolutely in the shitter.
Yeah.
You've got interest rates on the 10-year.
255-ish, which is down dramatically from about 320. In fact, I'll put up that chart.
Okay.
Let's put up.
So my point is, while you get that chart organized,
why don't you
using traditional economic observation, one would say that the world was poised on the brink of a major recession at least, if not a full-on depression at worst.
Okay, here we go. Put up this chart, please, control room.
Look at that.
No, okay, so what has happened? Well, let's let the chart tell us. Okay, so here we go. Now look, this is the bellwether barometer for interest rates.
Okay.
Now
give it to us straight, Eddie.
Here we go. So we've got a top. We had a top here. This is back in. This is a 6-month chart. So this is in about the beginning of October. We had a top. We had a slightly lower top. Okay. We had a test, and the yield never got as high. That was around the 325 level. 3.25%. Yep. So you're an investor. You want to invest in 10-year treasuries they're going to pay you buy them, they're yielding at 3.25%. Now, fast forward about 7 weeks. We are now at 255. 255. So we've had a wicked comeuppance.
Yeah.
Like, if you were thinking rates are going to keep going up, as the Fed guy did, he's looking a little foolish right now because there's no way they can raise rates right now without really causing a lot of havoc. And if that's what they want to do, then they'll raise rates. But this is saying, there was maybe, like Goldman was saying, there could be 3 more rate increases. You know, all these so-called gurus were talking about rates are going to go higher and higher. You know what? They've just, you know, we've just created the worst month in 10 years in the stock market. Oil is off a good third to 40%.
Yeah.
Copper, well, Jesus. You know, and I happen to be long that metal.
You're long copper?
Through Crown Mining.
Oh, yeah, so am I.
Yeah, well.
Actually, I noticed I could be buying it at 8 cents again.
Good. I'll show you some. No, look.
Well, but here's the thing that I've noticed is that just within the band of copper price trading between today's $1.60, up to, call it, you know,
260.
260 rather, 260 to $3.
Whoa.
Within that range, Crown Mining, I can buy it at 8 cents all day long when it's trading below 260.
Yeah.
And I can sell it all day long above 12 cents.
Yeah.
And that's like that's
50%.
a 50% win.
No.
If I could, like, that's a penny stock, I can make a 50% win every time copper swings between 40 cents.
High Hampton, you could have bought it at tax loss selling at 17.5 cents.
I did.
And today I think it printed 26.5.
Beautiful.
What's wrong with that?
Well,
have you still got yours?
I still do.
Why don't you sell it and take the profit?
Well, because it's going higher, I think.
Is that a question? Or is that a statement?
I think it's going higher. You asked me a question?
I'm pretty sure the stock market's going to go up.
Well, maybe that's in this.
What do they say when your voice elevates at the end of a sentence? That's
you're less than confident.
It's maybe a bit of a question.
Well, if you end with
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure rates are going to go up.
I think,
like my voice. No, look.
No, but this is my point. Should we be worried? Like, should everybody be shitting bricks right now?
Well, shitting bricks. If you were shitting bricks, you'd better be worried.
If I was paying a mortgage right now with a variable rate,
like me,
like you, I'd be shitting small bricks right now. Because I'd be looking at the situation going, the economy is definitely weakening. Economic activity is weakening. Good shopping numbers notwithstanding. Macroeconomic uncertainty is increasing.
Yeah.
Volatility is increasing. The purchasing power of my dollars is decreasing. And the opportunity in the financial market landscape is getting of lesser and lesser quality. So I'm looking at all these cannabis stocks, and for every 10 cannabis stocks that comes to market now, but within 1 year, 90% of them are lower. Only 10% are higher. Whereas, beginning of this market, 10 out of 10 were 1 year a double from where they were, if not a triple, quadruple.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. You're looking at these lines, opportunity and the quality of opportunity, and thereby the ability to execute favorable trades diminishing, while the risks in the form of higher interest rates, diminishing purchasing power, and decreased economic activity are increasing. Yeah. If I got a mortgage, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, I might want to try to make my mortgage a fixed rate mortgage pretty quick here.
Well, I have a fixed rate mortgage.
Do you?
Yeah. I tried to. I really thought rates couldn't stay down as long as they did, but the longer they stayed down, that causes a whole new set of problems. And I think they'll tell you right now that real estate activity in, say, the two major centers in Canada, being Toronto and Vancouver, it's slow. It's not ramping up. If anything, it's slowing down.
Yeah.
Now, the apartment building spectacle continues, I guess.
Yeah.
But slowly but surely, prices have come off. Real estate prices aren't as high as they were a year and a half ago. There's no way.
My neighborhood, they are.
Well, there's going to be exceptions to the rule.
I'll tell you what, though, they're taking longer to sell. It used to be
exactly
like last summer. You put a sign on a house. It would say, actually, they put a sign on the house. Clever bastards that they are. Coming soon.
I know. Well,
coming soon means come on and knock on the door and make an offer, thinking that you're jumping the queue because the market's so hot.
Coming soon, right?
That you're going to,
or maybe buy as is before we fix it up.
Well, exactly.
Buy
come
as
on in
is.
and make an offer 10% higher than the asking price.
My buddy in Vancouver, and you know Vancouver better than I do because you lived there and you were quite the celebrity.
And my last name's West.
I should be.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, I should be. I should live in. So if you were living in Newfoundland, I guess you'd be James East.
I think they drummed me right out of town.
So he said there was a major piece of real estate went up for the market a year and a half ago for $12.5 million. It must be a palace
in Vancouver.
Oh,
okay.
And it finally sold last week or last month for about $6.5 million, like an almost half. So, so that wouldn't have happened 2 years ago. 2.5 years ago.
Well, that's true. Well, Toronto or Vancouver did put on that 15%, was it, foreign buyers tax, foreign ownership tax?
They just can't stand a little action. They got to get in there.
Well, to the point of the people who drove that through, it's like if you're a 20-something-year-old Vancouver born and raised, and you can't buy a house because people who live 5,000 miles and are embezzling money from the government and the industry at a ferocious rate and transferring that and buying real estate in your backyard so that you can't. I think it's completely fair that they should at least have to pay a 15% tax just so that you calm down the rate at which prices are flying. It's essentially runaway inflation right there. Home inflation is inflation. So this is one of the problems I have with the whole Fed thing that, we're going to hold interest rates until we can achieve 2% inflation. You've got runaway inflation here in homes, in energy, in commodities, and it's...
Well, you don't have it really in oil.
Well, you do. But if you look at the deteriorating value of the U.S. dollar, I'm not talking the price of the U.S. dollar, but if you look at the deteriorating value of the U.S. dollar, what it can buy, then the price of oil is reflected at $40 a barrel. But the value of oil is not going down. It's not like there's more oil being created every day. It's impossible. The price of oil and the price of things are being shown to be lower because there's a flood of dollars coming up faster than prices can reflect value. And that's the whole point of quantitative easing and zero interest rate policy is to create the illusion of stability.
Yeah. Well, that's what economists are. They're master illusionists.
Delusionists.
Well, illusionist
illusionist implies an intent. Delusionist means you think, hey, this is the way it is.
Well, look, at the end of the day, I'm looking at this chart here of the 10-year, and I'm telling you, I would probably short the bond market because it's now rallied dramatically, and this last candle is outside the band, and that may be it for interest rates for a while. 250 on the 10-year may be as low as we're going to go. But it certainly implies no more interest rate increases.
You know what? I'm going to go talk to Obi Strickland right now, Ed.
Why don't you do that?
Okay.
Why don't you do that?
Hey, Obi, how are you? It's Happy New Year, I guess.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too, James. How are you today?
Great, thanks. Since we last chatted, Obi, you announced the appointment today of Adam Wolf as the Chief Operating Officer. Tell me about the strategy with Adam and his background.
Yeah, we're really excited to bring a gentleman like Adam into the fold. One of the big challenges, at least historically in cannabis, has been, bringing in really strong talent. And as you see the industry continue to mature, folks like Adam are willing to, join up with companies like Grown Rogue. We searched really, really hard to find the right executive to help us as we continue to scale into multi-state and really kind of put better controls and process around our existing operations. So he comes with a great background from the Wonderful Company, which was a very large floral provider. He worked at MJ Packaging as their COO for a number of years. So we're really excited to bring him into our expanding team.
You bet. Okay, so tell me now again about the business model of Grown Rogue. How are you differentiated from others in the industry?
Yeah, we're really focused on multi-state expansion. A lot of companies are doing that and kind of following a similar model. But we really start very simplistically with the why. And the whole why for Grown Rogue is about curating the right experience for the consumer. And so that's the entire focus of Grown Rogue, all the way down from our executives, all the way down to our operational team, is to ensure in the products, the relationships, every touch point that we have provides the right experience to our customers.
You bet. All right. So how many customers are you servicing in the current mix, and how much are you going to get to by the end of 2019?
Yeah, so right now we're in about 50% of the dispensaries inside of Oregon. So we touch about half of the market inside of the state we're currently operational. And that includes growing since we launched our first products at the end of 2017 at over a 20% monthly compound growth rate, and arguably the most challenging market in the U.S., likely the world. And so what we intend to do in Oregon is continue that expansion. We hope to be in 70 to 80% of the dispensaries by the end of the year, 2019, as well as continue our multi-state expansion. We just announced licensing down in California, and we are actively targeting several opportunities in the Midwest.
Fantastic. Is the signing of the Farm Bill something that has had a positive impact on Grown Rogue's business prospects going into 2019?
That's a great question. What you're seeing from that is the general acceptance of cannabis across the world, the U.S. in particular. What you're seeing is a series of milestones that we overcome. The Farm Bill is a big step in that direction by reducing or eliminating CBD as one of the scheduled narcotics in the U.S. We're also seeing things like the STATES Act come through, which is trying to put more regulatory structure around the banking system in the U.S. And you see a continued trend around additional states legalizing. I mean, Utah, Oklahoma, very conservative states have legalized medical. Michigan just legalized recreational. New Jersey is considering it. So you continue to see an overwhelming force of legalization across the U.S.
Yeah, you bet. Do you think that 2019 is the year that we see legalization federally in the United States?
I don't know if we'll see it that quickly. Obviously, that would be a big boon for a lot of the operators who have positioned themselves to take advantage of that through exports and really establishing their brands in a much wider geographic footprint. But my prediction is we have a few more years before it's fully legal across the U.S.
Oh, I see. All right. So then what is Grown Rogue going to accomplish in 2019 that's really going to excite its investors?
Our big focus, as I said, is taking the platform that we built in Oregon with a over 20% compound monthly growth rate, which translates to over 200% growth per year, and taking that platform in probably the most challenging market in the world and transforming it, translating it into these other markets that we're attacking. We think with our team, our expertise, our ability to navigate through the transition from medical to recreational, we're as well or better positioned than pretty much any company in the U.S. To really capitalize on that expansion and the opportunities that are coming across the U.S.
Sure. So you've got both indoor and outdoor growing operations. Is there a qualitative difference between what you can produce indoors versus what you can outdoors, both in terms of the quality relative to THC, CBD content, as well as the quality relative to subjective elements like mouthfeel, flavor, smoke, smoke intensity, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, that's an age-old question that I think will be debated forever. Obviously, being in the Rogue Valley of Oregon, which is in the Emerald Triangle, it's one of the most well-renowned agricultural regions for cannabis in the world. And we have a preference for outdoor production here, mostly because of the climatic effects. We produce better terpene profiles for sure than what you can produce in an indoor environment. We just set what we believe is a record in the state for potency with outdoor product. We had testing that was above 35%, which is a state record, at least for our laboratory. That being said, indoor still has an optical illusion to the consumer of being a higher quality product, mostly because of the way it looks. We expect that to continue to change as the consumer becomes more educated and mature in their understanding of what they look for. And you're really seeing a shift from, potency, look, appeal, to the terpenes. And terpenes are really what create the experience and the effect. And going back to what I said earlier, Grown Rogue is so focused on the experience the consumer feels that terpenes are a big part of how we focus our manufacturing company.
I see. So tell me, how do terpenes sort of affect the overall experience in terms of the customer?
Yeah, we look at it that terpenes, and this is scientifically proven, are more like the steering wheel is the best way to describe it. Your potency is the gas pedal, if you're using a car analogy. That really creates the impact that you'll have. But, like for Grown Rogue, we classify all of our products into 5 categories: relax, optimize, groove, uplift, and energize. And it's really the various terpene profiles within the individual products that allow us to categorize, our different inputs into those categories.
Mm-hmm. All right. So then, are you going to expand into other states as well? I know you had California sort of in your sights there.
Yeah, we've secured licensing in California in a facility in the Humboldt region. It's in Eureka. It's a 16,000 square foot facility. We have our distribution license issued by the state and the local municipality. We've also applied for our retail and our manufacturing licenses there. And then we will be announcing the second or the third state that we'll be moving into in the Midwest, probably in the coming weeks. We expect to have 3 by the end of 2019, and then our team is actively and aggressively looking at other opportunities that fit our timing, the need for a team in these states we go to. We really have a very systematic way we look at our expansion process.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Is there anything coming down the regulatory pipeline that makes you nervous in either Oregon or California?
I don't think there's anything that makes us nervous when we look at it. I mean, obviously California is going through their transitional period where they go from medical to rec. There's a lot of chaos as people become regulated. You have to comply with metric and all the compliance components. Oregon's pretty stabilized at this point. They've restricted the amount of licenses that are being issued, which obviously helps the businesses, be more successful in terms of limiting the competition. But we don't see any regulatory hurdles or structure inside of either of those 2 states that are causing us concern going forward. If anything, we look at them as opportunities.
Well, great. All right, Obi, let's leave it there for now. We'll come back to you soon. Thanks very much for joining me today.
Thanks, James. Appreciate your time. Happy New Year.
Yeah, well, there you have it. Grown Rogue. What a great name, eh? Named after the river, though. I always wonder what the hell is he talking about.
Okay,
Rogue.
so trivia.
Yeah.
What's the population of Oregon? That's from Oregon, right?
5 million.
4, I think it's 4.
4? My
Just
brother
4
lives
million.
there.
Really?
Yeah, my brother, my nephew, my niece, my brother and nephew, my niece and nephew's mother. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah. Have another drink.
Yeah, have a drink. I think that's the key.
So your brother lives there?
Yes.
In Portland?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, when we were in California over Christmas, he drove down from Portland,
Medicine. It's a fairly big state, too, you'd think.
It's a big state.
And they can support a basketball team in the NBA, so they got something going.
Actually, there's some. So Nike's based in Portland, Oregon. Who else is based in Portland? The big design firm, D+W. I can't remember what they're called. D+W, D+ something.
D+W.
Yeah. The film director, what's his name? Gus Van Sant is based in Portland, Oregon. I used to know a whole bunch of little insignificant trivia items about Portland because my brother lives there, and I spent quite a bit of time there. Really? I used to like to go there. I used to go to Portland to write, believe it or not. To write. Yeah.
So if you had to write a letter...
No, I would go there to write a letter.
Could you write anywhere else?
I could, yeah. No, I was writing, Nobel Prize winning.
They say 2 rights don't necessarily make a wrong.
Is that what they
say?
Or
no, 2 wrongs.
Who's they? Got you there, didn't I?
Yep.
They. Anyways, so Ed, let's talk a bit about what's going on in our market here.
Well, let's look at Apple, okay? I mean, Apple. Apple.
Apple, yes.
It was $1 billion. Sorry, $1.1 trillion in market cap when it was trading at $233, $235. What do you think the price is today? What do you think?
Well, I know an Apple phone is still $1,000.
Yeah. Well, guess what?
What?
the price of the stock, I believe, is about $145. So 55 and 30, $85 has been lopped off of something trading at 235, 85. How many times? 85. About a third.
Sounds like a weed deal.
A third of the value of the largest company by market capitalization has been lopped off.
Wow.
Well, duh.
Duh.
You know, I look perplexed, I can tell you that. Flummoxed, I look flummoxed.
Huh.
So, you know, Amazon is off big. Google is off fairly big. Microsoft, you know.
All right, time for a question, Ed. What do you think is going on with this Namaste reversal? News, maybe? Okay, so let's
take a look.
Let's take a look here.
Is that, that's not the, I should know this.
They're up 40% in 2 days.
Yeah, okay, well, so they're up 40% in 2 days. The market's up 40% in 2 days, arguably.
Market's
so,
not up 40% in 2 days.
Well, but the cannabis stocks have reversed. The ones that are responsive to general market, the bellwethers, they're all up 40%.
Well, Namaste was up to $1.25 today, something like that, and now it's $1.07.
Yeah, and it's also important to look at how much did they lose from the onset of December to, you know, what they come back. You look at Organigram, for example. Organigram was 585 back in November, and boom, it dropped down to 4 and change, and here it is back to where it was before December set in. So does that constitute should we be looking at the fact that it went up by 20% or 30%? No, it doesn't matter. It's just it's trading within its range. So I would say in terms of the Namaste reversal, as you like to term it, I propose that it's not a reversal of any sort. It's just bouncing within a range as a result of the tax loss selling season and the broader market weakness. So wouldn't read anything into that in terms of
much ado about nothing.
Well, there's no industry-wide catalyst to justify it that you could point to any industry-wide catalyst and say, oh, that's having an effect. So, for example, the big industry-wide catalyst that happened over the Christmas holidays was the announcement of Novartis saying that Tilray is going to be the provider of all of its cannabis products globally. And you should have thought that with the big investment that came from Novartis, that would have constituted a fundamental sector-wide catalyst that should have lifted all the boats at least a little higher. What was the response?
Yeah.
Crickets, nothing.
And you know, isn't it also true, James, that as time goes by here, week by week, month by month, the shares outstanding.
That's not it, Ed. I've been trying to do that.
You know, let's cut off James here from the Negroni. I think Negroni's.
Oh, that's what's happening. We didn't get the Negroni.
Yeah.
Suzanne, where's the damn Negroni?
Suzanne!
All right.
More Negroni! Goddamn! Meatloaf! I want meatloaf!
Anyways, here's a trivia question for you.
Okay, here's your skill testing question for the day. On Black Monday, October 19th, 1987, the U.S. suffered its biggest one-day drop in history. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeted 508 points, or 22.6%. And that's the equivalent of a plunge of 3,000 points in today's Dow. So how did the TSX react to the gutting? Well, A, did it drop even further with a 23.5% plunge? B, it did plunge but was steady the next day with a total 6% drop upon stabilization? Or C, did it lose 11% in sympathy to the U.S. drop? The answer? That's coming up shortly.
And welcoming our brother from the other mother, Brandon Colwell is here from Follow the Money Group. Brandon, welcome back.
Absolutely.
Good to see you, brother.
It's been a long time.
Happy New Year. Yeah, what's it been, like an hour or two?
Yeah, something like that. Not too long.
HNY.
Did you have a good Christmas?
It was. It was a nice, just a rebalance and everything. You get to relax for a little bit. So a lot of fun. Yeah, I got sick though. I got sick for most of the time.
That's, interesting. I was sick too. I spent a week in California, landed, got sick. Today I'm better. But I was watching this thing on Netflix, and it's a serial program, but one of the characters says, sickness is a gift. It gives you time down with your loved ones. You get to see how much they care about you, and you get to let them look after you. And I was just like, oh, that's so sweet. The motherfucker obviously doesn't have what I got, because this sucks. But mind you, the loved ones was a blessing in disguise, and yes, I guess it's one way to look at it. It was a gift. It kept me out of the action on New Year's Eve.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was almost in Toronto when you said, don't bother coming.
Yeah.
I'm sick.
Stay away. This is Pestilenceville.
But there's still good trading through the whole thing. We went through, like, I heard you were talking earlier. I was peeking in from the hack. You had an audience this time. The worst December since 2008 for markets.
10 years.
Terrible. And then we had the worst Christmas Eve in the history of our markets. Then you turn around, and on Boxing Day, for Americans out there, just December 26th, means nothing else. You had 1,093 points, the most point increase of all time.
Yeah,
it's been crazy. So we may be sick, but there's still a lot going on.
Did you find it somewhat interesting that the 1,000 point increase in markets occurred the day after Steve Mnuchin announced that he had reached out to the President's Working Group on Capital Markets, also known as the Plunge Protection Team, consisting primarily of the CEOs of the largest banks and investment institutions in the United States.
Yeah.
And he reported in his statement to the press that he'd reached out to the Plunge Protection Team and everything was going to be fine and they were all on side. The next day the stock market goes up 1,000 points.
Yeah.
I find that incredible because that's market manipulation 101 right there. It's a fraudulent in nature.
I don't know. I'm not so sure.
Well, it's crazy though. Why would you allow that? You're literally setting the stage for saying, hey, look, we're about to pump the market right now. Are you going to be a part of it? And that's exactly what they did.
Well, but it's got to be a sustained thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to manipulate a market like that, and you're going to, try to pass it off as somehow a benefit to the investing public, then it's got to be sustained. You can't just rush in there one day. Okay, everybody buy, $1 billion worth of S&P 500 futures, and we'll call it a day. It's like, no. Well, what you do then is you create a false sense of optimism, so the people rush in and start buying on that strength, only to be found that, oh no, they're the bag holders because these bums are actually selling the position they bought that day into the strength they created. That's stock manipulation 101. They should all go to jail, if you ask me.
Yeah, and if we get my NDI up as well, this is actually really cool. It's somewhat on this on the line where to talk about fund managers in general. Someone from our group posted this, and they had, coming up here, fund investors pull $56 billion in the biggest exit since 2008. And they're going over, and this was actually, this article came out on December 26th, the exact same day that the rally happened. What's just going on, it's just really interesting to see that the outflows accelerate over the last few weeks. Where in December 19th, there was almost $50 billion pulled. And this is from like mutual funds, ETFs. This isn't just like speculative stuff. This is people saying, I don't want my money in the market. They haven't seen an exodus like this since 2008 when obviously everyone said, I don't want my money in the market. So it's interesting. You got to pay attention to what's going on. But was that people then seeing this and saying, hey, all this has come out, it's got to go back in now? Or is it manipulation like you're saying?
Well, I think it's blatantly manipulation, but in the one hand, you look at it and you go, okay, well, so if the Trump administration is going to publicly acknowledge the Plunge Protection Team exists, which has heretofore been not denied, but just not acknowledged by any other administration. It's always been a matter of speculation. If the Trump administration is actually going to drag them out, parade them in front of the press, and demonstrate their effectiveness by inducing a 1,000-point gain in the market, which there was nothing to happen fundamentally to justify that gain.
Nothing.
It was purely a demonstration of the power of the Plunge Protection Team. If you're going to do that,
no, but
take some comfort in that, because that means if shit goes completely sideways, they'll just roll these guys in and they'll just start buying.
Yeah, but some of the biggest moves, and to your point about the day after Christmas, some of the biggest moves occur in the move against the main trend. The main trend is sort of down right now. You get these short cover rallies that are vicious. In fact, they go up so fast that they don't last.
Yeah.
Like, that's when we have to have a test here. I think we have to have this market rolling over and testing. And
was it interesting though that even after Boxing Day, we still had a couple of days where it really was still going all right. There wasn't a massive pullback. It wasn't a massive correction. It kept going a little bit.
If you look, there's a roll. It's rolling over as we speak.
Well, there's one of our viewers has an interesting comment. James Albert. James, thank you for joining us. Says, don't you think that news catalysts are going to induce less volatility as the sector matures? Now he's talking about the cannabis sector, obviously. No catalyst is going to be more meaningful to investors than financials, and real numbers are yet to come. So this is a good point in that,
I agree with that.
We're already seeing it 1,000%.
Absolutely.
Our company, we always aggregate all the news releases and we put it into our chat rooms where you can see Cannabis News, and we'll go. I used to read every single one personally. I love it. Now I'll look at the headline. I'm like, okay, and I'm going to the next one. I'm going because it's not inducing, just like you said, the volatility of this news release comes out and everyone's like, I gotta buy this right now. That's not happening anymore. And I think you guys were just saying it earlier about Tilray. That was a massive investment in Tilray. Yeah, it did nothing.
But the market cap of Tilray is big. It's already big.
It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm going to go out there and say it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, yeah. So how can you move something? The elephant's already there, right?
Was it January 15th? The first tranche of those shares start coming on lock?
January 15th is a subsequent tranche of shares that comes out. There have been shares held by insiders available to trade as of November 15th, which is, I think, why you started to see, the sell-off in the stock was suddenly there was stock in the system that could be borrowed against. Not that the American market cares for real stock to borrow against if they're going to short something. But if is real stock to borrow, then I guess that the short effect is going to be a multiple of what's available in the system.
Yeah. Well, what else is going on other than Tilray? Because we've been talking about Tilray a lot, and we love Tilray. You know what? In certain ways, I think they're going to do well. But we were talking about this earlier, actually, and we were talking about how the CPTPP, and we tried to do that 10 times fast, and none of us could.
CPTPP. I just did it
That
once.
was one time fast, and that was good. That was good. But basically, the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, used to be between 12 countries. Trump, when he first came into power, specifically said they're going to pull out of it. He did, and just on December 30th, it was signed. 11 countries, 13% of the global trade. This is actually, because think of what's been destroying our markets. It's been these trade wars, and these we've just opened up 11 countries. I think it says something like 18,000 tariffs are removed. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, that's big for the markets.
The interesting thing about Donald Trump is through his continued, he runs his administration like a reality show. He's looking for effect. He's not considering the world as a political entity. He's looking at it as his show environment, and how can he catalyze effect by doing things for dramatic and sensational reaction. And basically what he's doing by using institutions like global trade as a foil in his reality show is he's demonstrating in no uncertain terms that the United States can become irrelevant to the rest of the world if it doesn't watch out. I mean, yes, it is the biggest economy in the world, but the biggest economy in the world is going to turn into a global basket case that's just going to run roughshod all over everything and damage everything. Well, then let's just forge our own transactions, and we'll deal with the idiot in the whole mix as we must. But in the meantime, let's forge meaningful partnerships that diminish the impact and the relevance of the largest economic bloc on the planet. And that's what he's doing, I think. So I think that is important, very significant. And again, to me, that's comforting to see that, well, great, 13% of the global trade bloc can come together as one. Don't really need the participation of the buffoon in the White House.
Yeah, and he also went off to the Fed as well, which is unheard of as well, when they were trying to get those rates not hiked, and hiked them anyway. So I know that was a little bit of, people were worried what's going to go on there, but I think that's kind of simmered off, thankfully.
Well, that's just it. Does it really constitute a government if there's no consensus even within that government? No, it doesn't constitute a government. It constitutes a fiefdom where there's a whole bunch of competing interests trying to unseat the controlling interest, and that does not a government make. That makes for, that's like having a a small territorial outlier where a civil war is being conducted, and in the meantime, the rest of us adults will conduct trade.
You know who would be a good guy to run a fiefdom? Barney Fife.
Barney Fife.
Because it rhymes.
Good one. That's a good point.
Yeah, you know what? I like to keep it light and polite.
Yeah.
You know, because it is a rat race, and you know, by any metric you use, it's difficult. I mean, we live in a crazy world where, you know, you got, look at the people like that are in Alberta. They're driving their trucks and they're protesting what Ottawa's doing in our country. I mean, there's a lot of pissed off people from Alberta right now. I think.
Why? Because the government's not doing enough to support the oil sector?
Well, you know, maybe because they never built those pipelines. Like, they never got, like, we've got the oil, but we can't sell it because there's no capacity. America seems to have no problem selling oil.
Well, interestingly, if you look at the lack of investment in refining infrastructure in Canada since the 50s, the only refining infrastructure we have exists on the East Coast. So the only place we can ship oil to and export it is to the East Coast.
Jesus.
And we've been seeing an absolute spike in eastbound rail traffic as the oil industry in the West Coast replaces Pacific Coast and Southern pipeline traffic with eastbound rail traffic in an attempt to just keep the industry alive. So you're saying that the Westerners, the oil producers, are angry at the rest of the country.
Well, somebody was writing a comment about there's 300 semis, you know, driving down a major highway to whatever that place is called, and
burning up the last of our oil. God damn it, that's unpatriotic.
They want to use up their gasoline so that people will buy more.
Right.
Let's start your cars.
That's what they're doing. They're driving up the price of oil, them bastards.
You know what could fix that?
What's that?
Hemp.
Hemp.
Hemp will fix that.
Yeah,
hemp oil?
Yeah,
hemp oil will fix that, and I can't believe how many people have already forgotten the hemp bill, Farm Bill is done in the United States. That is massive. Did you read the news? Did you read the news?
We've been talking about it for quite the while.
No, the Dutch company that just came out. My NDI wasn't working, or else I'll put it up. There was a Dutch company, and we had it on our show yesterday. See if the article will come up. They've created the world's first entirely made out of cannabis prefab home, where this thing will be completely made out of cannabis. Because hempcrete is both your foundation, your insulation, your vapor barrier, it's flame retardant, it's mildew proof, and it has a negative carbon footprint.
Can you put it in your gas tank, though?
You can put it in your gas tank. Hemp oil can be put into plastic bags and plastic whatever. Anyway, it's we all fight about the oil. We're fighting. Oh, they did get it up. Thank you for that, whoever found that, because it's not working.
Dutch house made from cannabis.
Completely made from cannabis. We need to get them on the show. We get them on the show.
Let's do that.
Because that's fascinating. If they can do that with hemp, and you can grow hemp so easily, especially out west, where they're trying to figure out what to do right now. It's a crisis out there. We're fighting the demand of, or the supply of oil, when we should be fighting the demand of oil. Because the second we stopped that pipeline, all they did was get on the phone to Iraq or Dubai, and some blood oil was already in a tanker coming across the ocean, coming back to the West Coast anyway. It's absolutely ridiculous that we're fighting it. That might be an opinion, though.
Yeah. Interesting.
Most likely opinion.
All right. Well, what do you think of that, Ed? I mean,
you know, look. You almost think that we've expanded the Earth, and I think of it as a balloon, to the point where no matter what they do, maybe they just can't expand it anymore. Because trying to expand it without a natural correction, eventually, you know, you puff it up, and it'll collapse on itself, won't it? I mean, you can only go so. Trees only grow to heaven. Sorry, trees do not grow to heaven.
Oh, where is heaven?
Well, let me ask.
I think it's over at Adelaide and John Street.
Yeah. For your eyes only.
People are loving the oil talk, by the way, in our chat room. What's going on?
Well, actually, an AI or Reefer Al had a point. He said, we're just going to ignore metals. And no, we're not ignoring metals. We're we were commenting earlier that gold is now flirting with
1,300 US.
Yeah, which is when was the last time gold was at 1,300 US?
Long time ago.
Well, I'll tell you where.
And actually, someone posted earlier today that of all they were all resources in the TSX Venture as your highest gainers for today.
That's a good point.
All the top 5 were all resources.
Let's look at
that. Was really interesting.
Let's look at the market movers. I mean, I don't know if my
can I make a point here, because I think I want to tie in some of the gold action to the bond market. The bond market's done nothing but go up like a rocket ship as yields drop from 3.25 to 255. And if you take the chart of, it's the exact opposite of what rates are doing. As rates are dropping, gold's going up like crazy. Look at this move. Gold is up.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, and now that this is the Spider Gold Trust, so it's not the exact numbers, but yeah.
I can pull it up here.
Well, actually, I'm looking at market movers in the TSX Venture right now. Number 1, Namaste. Last at $1.07.
Yeah.
So where's the? I don't understand where all the.
I don't know. It was posted earlier, but
it was $1.25 earlier
as well. Actually, here's what. Oh, they just had it. You missed it. We had it.
What was it?
Gold.
There we go.
Just showing gold here and what it's been doing. This is just today though in general. But if you look at here, we'll look at 6. It's just a small chart, but it's just a fast thing to turn to. It hasn't been in the last 6 months. I'm trying to find out your answer of when it was last above 1,300. That would have been.
It would have been about 7-8 months ago.
Yeah, about July or so. June or July of last year.
June or July of last year. Yeah, but look at that.
Yeah.
Why would you sell it down here if it was going up to here?
I do not know. I do not know.
Yeah, you know what? This is going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of people are going to lose their shirts, but
I don't want to lose my shirt.
No.
They're too valuable.
I don't even have a shirt.
This one's not valuable. I got this shirt at Winners, believe it or not.
I believe it. Hey, I believe it.
I'm with Bruce.
Yeah.
Bruce Lynn, you go to Winners is where this was from Winners.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Winners.
Michael Kors, throw it on. This is the Seagull shirt for those watching our group.
$400 for a shirt when you can get one for 20.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you can get 2 for 200, or
2 for 90.
That's a lot different than what he just said.
Yeah, boy, Ed, good thing you're not in charge of mathematics. Yeah. So I'm looking at the market movers right now on the TSX today. And, this is volume-based market movers. Number 1 is Aurora.
Wow.
Aurora actually closed the day down at 6.92, down 17 cents after starting off. Didn't it get up to like 7.25 or something today? Barrick Gold is the next market mover, and it closed down 26 cents. But the fact that Barrick is moving indicates that there's suddenly some interest in gold. Number 3 was Hydro One, who's always there. Hexo was in there, of all companies. Hexo flirting with the same level where it finally did that deal with the beer company in Canada. What are they called again? Molson.
That's the one. Although it's kind of a deal.
And then the corporate welfare case of the Canadian industry Bombardier is showing at 213 today. But so my point being that of the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 companies on the TSX, only 2 are cannabis stocks.
For once.
Well, which is, but that's a big indication. That tells you a lot about, where is cannabis in the grand scheme of things. It's no longer it's no longer the sole interest of everybody. You can tell even from the chat that's going on in our YouTube channel, is that people are talking about Aphria in here. People are talking about gold in here. We're talking about oil, obviously, in response to our conversation. And then James Albert's talking about the NHL. And isn't there a hockey game on today?
Yes.
There is. But is the USA still in it? Canada was knocked out.
Was it?
Last second, yes, they were. The World Juniors. According to Don Cherry, the hockey gods came back for them. If any of you watch that old man still love him. He's a little cuckoo. Losing his marbles a little bit as he's getting into his 90s. Yeah, I love him though. I grew up on Don. Grapes is we watched it every Saturday night. You got to. That's one of that's hockey night in Canada.
Well, so our market is about to close, and good riddance to it. Another Another day that didn't really do much for me. I don't know about you guys.
Well, you know what?
Ding, 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 ding.
No, if you actually hear a metal sound when you move your head like that, does that mean that there's something
means you
banging?
got a clapper loose.
A clapper?
Yeah, that's the clapper.
I've had the clap. Wait a minute, I'll take that back.
I was gonna say, yeah, good times. Yeah, just put it.
Take it back.
It's nice though. It didn't really pull back that much. So if you're looking at both cannabis and some of our mining stocks that we're covering as well, you know, for how much it ran yesterday, like it was incredible. The double digit movers. There's a tongue twister. I was expecting a way bigger pullback. You did get it from your indicators, your weed, your ACB, your Afria. But some of these other players, they're still up 5%, 4%.
Yeah.
One, divergence.
Yeah.
Two, you didn't pull back crazy after yesterday where, some of them were up 30, 40%.
Hexo's up 40% in a week, roughly. And especially when you look at the high today. It went from 410 to basically 580. That's about 42, 43, 44%, something like that. Got a big wick on the candle today. What?
Liberty Health Sciences at 99 cents, up 6 cents on the day.
Yeah.
They actually were breaking out. I think I had a chart of that actually. Somebody had posted this here. I don't know if my NDI has been working or not. If it pops up on this screen, hey, it does.
Wow.
So this was posted by one of our investors, going on showing that it has just broken out earlier today, blasting through. Thank you for zooming in, because I can't zoom in anymore. And yeah, some people were following that. Some were trading it. I just think they were really oversold from that Hindenburg thing. I think that was unwarranted, especially when speaking with their team. You can imagine, you know, that's a real company. You guys had a great video come out showing it as well, coming on, and there were some aspects of the original shell that went into them. But it's eluding me the CEO's name right now.
Which company?
From Liberty Health.
Oh, George.
He's just on here. George. Talking to him and how all these things that Hindenburg brought up about them were well before any of them came into their roles. It's a company. It's a real company. They're doing real things, and I think people are starting to realize that and starting to come back a little bit.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt that George is running a real business down there, and I think that
That's the natural gas ETF. It got to $250. Look at this. Sorry. Nobody was listening.
Please continue.
I'm blushing.
The bottom line is that this market sucks. Anyways, moving right along.
Yeah.
Sorry?
What do we got now?
Oh, is it? Great. Okay, let's look at some of the market movers. This is the CSE I'm looking at here. And again, we've got, well, let's see. Yeah, these are all cannabis companies. So Agriflora Organic, 2 Center. We won't comment on that any further. APPX Group Holdings, don't even know what they do. 1 Center. Okay, well, here's the interesting thing. The CSE, when you've got 1 and 2 centers trading at the high, Agriflora is 30 cents. What am I saying? I'm looking at this wrong. Duh. APPX is 9 cents, 9.5 cents. Golden Leaf is up to 19 cents.
They were beaten down pretty hard in recent little while.
Yeah, Believe has managed to claw back to 11.5 cents from on 4.2 million shares. Interestingly, Believe had forward rolled its stock. Remember?
Yeah.
And wasn't it trading at $1.50 or something like that about this time last year?
Yeah, I'll pull it up here. And by the way, that chart that we were watching at, Scott, thank you very much for that chart. I want to give you credit for that, as it was not my work.
Here's a chart right now of the minus letter large cap index. And the index is down 123 points today.
A little bit more than when we first looked at it.
Yeah, 67.55. Interestingly, this is the 3-month look. We pull this out to the 6-month look, and it's down from the high was back in October 16th, was 12,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's come down a lot.
Yeah. So it's basically
Cut in half?
almost halved.
So here's a question. Wow. Where's your money? Is it cash? Is it cannabis? Is it mining?
It's in my wallet.
It's in the wallet. See, I went to a lot of cash myself. I believe in the cannabis space. I really do.
I actually can't sit on cash because it just, you know, I don't invest with normal people's thresholds of like long-term bankability. I don't do that. I'm looking for, you know, opportunity. I'm using my cash to learn things. I expose myself to things. So where's my cash? My cash is still in cannabis stocks. Like I've still got, let's see, I've got probably a dozen cannabis stocks that I'm, you know, underwater on, but I'm not going to liquidate and then try to chase it back at a lower price. But I bought 5 ounces of gold about 45 days ago, which remarkably, one of the first times I've actually made a trade in the physical that won right away. Of course, I've got Patriot One Technologies. I've got Virtual Armor, which is a cybersecurity company, VAI on the CSE. Yep. I just made a large investment in a company that manufactures graphene.
Graphene?
Manufactures graphene. The reason that graphene has not been able to meet the anticipation and all of the hype with which it was greeted when it was first discovered several years ago was that nobody has been able to manufacture it for less than $200 a kilogram. And this company that I invested in has created a process that produces graphene at $40 a kilogram. So it's created basically cost-effective industrial use graphene, and it's not just from some pie-in-the-sky wacky scientists. These guys are all former Shell executives who left Shell to pursue this technology.
Interesting.
And Shell is putting in $2.5 million. Yeah. So we know it for real. And
$2.5 billion?
$2.5 million.
Okay.
Shell is putting in. So it's early.
That's a jump.
It's early stage yet, but. And Reefer Al Joint here says palladium is a huge modern industrial necessity.
I was talking to someone about palladium recently, about how the price has been going up. I have not looked into it, but more so that palladium in itself is actually a lot more rare than you would think. There's not that many large deposits of palladium.
Palladium is now more than the price of platinum, isn't it? Platinum for years was the most expensive precious metal. And I think that's changed. Well, gold's more expensive than platinum now. And I think palladium, in fact, I could find out.
Well, it's the gold standard. That's an Ed joke right there.
Yeah.
Right there. He's not even laughing from it. Yeah, I tried, folks.
All right, so let's have our trivia answer.
All right, earlier in the show, we asked you a question about Black Monday, which was October 19th, 1987. That's when the U.S. suffered its biggest one-day drop in history. And we asked you, how did the TSX react to the gutting? Well, the answer is C. Toronto stocks fell in sympathy, but only about half of what they did in the U.S. But it was a nightmare. Exchanges couldn't keep up with the volume of trading, leaving investors in the dark as to how much they'd lost. As sell orders poured in, many were so-called market orders or instructions to liquidate at any price, and stock values gapped downward. If you got this one right, then you're a smarty.
That was a bit trivial, wasn't it?
Trivial Pursuit.
Trivial times.
This is, somebody made a comment about the volatility. The VIX index is just flying around like crazy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Like yeah, we could be seeing, like, the cleansing.
Here's the VIX index right now up on my screen.
Up 3 points, 4 points?
25.23 currently. It's actually down from a high of 33.33, 36.07, which it hit on.
Yeah, that's because the market's rallied the last a week, right? And now it's rolling over again. So the VIX is
right. Yeah. Okay. So that was on December 24th. Was actually the height of the volatility for the VIX. So that was the day that the government went into shutdown mode, wasn't it? Or it had been in shutdown mode for a little bit by then. But so, you know, the volatility has drifted downward a bit, I guess, because at least they're talking.
Well, because if the you know the S&P goes from say 2,100 to 2,400, the VIX will drop dramatically, and that's what happened.
Really?
Yeah. Markets go down sharply. The VIX goes up sharply.
Interesting. So, what are we going to do now, Ed? What do you got? What do you got to say about that?
Well,
let's take a look at some of these stocks over here on the. Let us see what the big cannabis movers are. Oh boy, this is just a pain here. 1 second. Yeah, okay, do that. Here's the water cooler.
Yeah, here's the water cooler.
We're talking about candles
and I
today.
think I'm with my buddy Cookson.
Cookson at the water cooler.
Hey Ed, how you doing?
You know, markets are crappy.
Like usual. Hey, there's one thing that I want to ask you about. The other day you said something about candling. What was that all about?
Well, candles is a way of monitoring or at least tracking daily price movements of stocks, commodities, interest rates. It shows a lot of information.
Right.
So I'll give you an example here.
Oh.
There's a chart here just sitting there.
Just happened to be a chart?
Yeah, and here there's one candle, one day, one candle, okay? And there's a little wick on top. That wick, they refer to the top part as a wick and the bottom part as a tail.
So the top part is a gross?
Well, the top part is the highest, the very tip of that wick is the highest that stock traded that day.
Right, okay.
Okay? The lowest part of the tail, and here's a tail in this one.
Right.
Would be the lowest it's traded this day, okay? Now, if it opens higher and closes lower, you'll have a red candle because it's a down day. So it opened here, where it's solid.
Yeah.
And then it dropped, and it closed near the bottom because there's very little tail. There may be a little tail there, you can't see it, but so what candles do, they enable you to look for certain formations. Right. For instance,
so just to be clear, this right here, this whole candle is how it traded that day.
Yeah, that tells you the range of the price movement of that instrument that day. So the low trade was at the bottom of the tail. The high trade, well, let's use this one here because it's got a tail and it's got a tail and a wick.
Right.
And then, so it opened here, which is the bottom of the candle part.
Right.
It closed at the top of the candle part, but the high of the day was the top of the wick.
Oh, I see, okay.
And the tail, the low, and what you look for is you like big tails. The reason being is that it tells you that the investors that day thought it got too low, so they rushed in and moved it higher.
They bumped it up.
So you see that by that long tail. Conversely, when you have a big wick, and there's a wick there, sometimes that's a bad thing. Here, the opening and closing is almost the same. Hence, no body of candle.
Right. So nothing really happened.
Well, no, it didn't.
Well, it didn't close and it didn't open. It kind of closed and opened at the same place.
It closed and opened at the same price. It tried to go higher, tried to go lower. They call that a doji.
Right.
You can look that up. And a doji is a sort of an indecisive, no body in the candle, right?
Right.
So you can have and if the opening price, the closing price, the high of the day and the low of the day were all the same, it would just be a little line like that.
Just a line.
Just a
no candle, no tail.
No nothing. Just a little dash.
Right.
Okay. So that it tells you information. So you look for, like for instance, if I see 10 red candles in a day, you know you're getting really close to a green candle. So that might be a time to step into the market.
Oh yeah.
If you see 10 green
in a day. For
that
particular stock, right?
For that particular stock, yeah. So like, well here we had a little red nice tail there.
Yeah.
Okay. And it looks after a pretty big move, and sure enough, the next day really sold off.
Yeah, yeah.
And so look, you need to go to the internet and just
kind of figure it out.
Explain.
I mean, that was a good explanation, though. I
so
know a lot more.
like you can look at every day and see the high, low, the opening price, the closing price, and the range. The range being the difference between the bottom of the tail and the top of the wick.
Right. Right. Well, that's not what I thought it was.
What did you think it was?
Well, I thought it was like.
And just so you know, you have any questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. There's only stupid answers.
Well, I mean, I thought it was for removal of earwax.
It's a stupid answer.
I guess. Well, thanks.
Hey, cheers.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll see you later. This market, I think, could.
That was a stupid answer, Ed.
Look, there's no stupid questions.
Poor
only
Sean,
stupid.
he's going to feel like that was a stupid answer. You know, candling is a method for removing wax from ears.
That's true.
And so that's not really a stupid answer.
No, but in the context of technical analysis, removing wax.
Well, not if you got too much wax in your ears and you can't hear the question. Then you need to do some candling. Exactly my point.
What?
You know what? We're going to take some questions, look at some of the comments from our...
Oh, never mind. Ed loves tail.
Ed loves tail. Ed loves tail. Great. Yes, he does.
I like,
Scotch. What's in that water? Palladium? Some tails don't like big wick. Oh, boy. Jeez. JC, we were just, while we were running that little segment, we were looking at JNUG. JNUG is triple exposure to junior minors.
And you know what the opposite of that is called?
Doug? JDUG?
Dust.
Dust?
Yeah, dust.
Yeah, great.
Hey, we're going back to dust.
You got some dust?
We're going back.
You got any dust
some
down
powder?
there? You got some dust?
Got some dust.
We'll just be right back after this. Oh, wait, we don't have commercials. Damn.
Okay. Yeah, so you could have made, like, if you bought bullion.
So I bought bullion. I bought 5 ounces of gold.
So
a month ago.
So that's like $5,000 investment.
It was 10,000. It was in Canadian dollars.
Okay, so 10,000.
Yeah. So now that's gone up 10%.
You made
whereas
it $1,000
in the same period is up 30%. Retire? No, I can never retire.
If you really think gold's going to go nuts, you load up on the JNUGs. Mm-hmm. But it's a wasting asset. Like they recalibrate these things daily, so there's what they call slippage, and slippage is your enemy.
Yeah. Just to address another question, Thrice Hybrid wants to know what's the name of the graphene company I invested in. The company is called Graphene Manufacturing Australia. It's not public. It's a private enterprise. It was a private investment, and
how would you pay for the price?
I paid $9.75 a share.
So a real deal.
Yeah. But the reason...
Why did the graphene space get so hot and then so cold? Is it because they couldn't make it cheaply?
They couldn't make it cheap enough to put it in anything where it could have the promised effect.
But they certainly sucked up a lot of money.
They certainly did. And then it didn't help that the first few graphene deals out of the chute were not successful.
ERA was one of those deals.
ERA? I don't know ERA. But so the bottom line is, and the thing I like about this Graphene Manufacturing Australia company is that the feedstock for the process whereby they make graphene is going to be carbon dioxide. Do you think there's enough carbon dioxide to go into this? And you know what it puts out? You know what it emits as waste? Hydrogen. So we're talking additive to construction materials that makes it up to 40% stronger, thereby lasting in many cases 40% longer. That's feedstock is carbon dioxide, and whose waste stream is hydrogen. It's.
So you were paying attention in chemistry class, apparently.
I got kicked out of school in grade 9, 10, and 11. Then I quit in grade 11. I
also heard that you were so popular at your high school that you were class president in grade 10 3 years in a row.
No, I was not popular. In fact, I was the opposite.
That's a joke.
Oh, okay.
You 3 years in a row in the same class?
Oh, anyway, oh boy, that's... Geez, Ed, another one of those clever jokes.
Simon had a good question. He wants to know how an average retail investor can short the market or short a stock.
Self-short. Well, if you need to ask that question, don't even think about it.
Well, no. I mean, look, if you really think there's a stock that has a value of $2 200 million, and you think it's not worth more than 10 million. But you could buy an ETF. You could buy an ETF that tracks the S&P 1 for 1. And just buy that. SPXL, I think, is one, and SPXD. L for long, D for down. And if
you want to know the best way to short gasoline, fill up your car with gas.
Really?
You know how the best way to go long?
Don't drive.
Drive it around. Anyways, that might be a little bit.
That's a pretty deep.
So wait a sec. The buzz on the chat stream here is that Juju has put out a press release, and if you're wondering, like, I'm sure everybody's looking at Juju and going, "This thing's 9 cents. It was 27 cents 3 months ago. Why the hell did they keep talking about this loser of a stock?" It's because we keep buying it as it goes lower and lower, thinking it's got to turn around somewhere. We've taken a bit of a hit. But we have a warm view towards management. Don't ask me why, but let's take a look at what happened. Where's their press release today? Let's take a look.
K-Webs, Juju is undervalued. Good time to buy.
Okay, Juju. Juju was in the news. Oh, well, should have paid attention to that. Juju.cnx. Let's see, what do we got here? Market summary. Where's the press release? Just companies more. 8.5 cents. That's not thrilling. Where the hell is it? News. Here we go. Oh, great. As in most news streams these days, the news is not actually consists of press releases. It consists of useless mainstream financial media mumbo jumbo about markets. Oh well, great. No wonder everybody is so financially unsophisticated.
Distribution.
Anyways, we'll go check out the Northern Lights is a cannabis distribution business. Northern Lights. What about Northern Lights? We don't know. Let's go find it in CEDAR. CEDAR International Cannabis.
Did they buy Northern Lights?
I'm gonna find out one quick sec here. News release, January 3. Look at that. M8C2B. Signs an additional. Okay, so they've signed a distribution deal with Northern Lights. They've already had a distribution deal with Northern Lights. Northern Lights has 200 dispensaries.
200?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And so they're distributing Juju Royale through Northern Lights.
Cash transaction?
No mention of how it benefits the company. And yeah, we'll have to take a look at that. The press release doesn't really say much. So, obviously a positive development, arguably, but we don't know the details.
Right. Right.
More great information. Let's keep conversation. So James Watson bought some Golden Leaf. I'm going to ask you, why did you buy Golden Leaf?
Now, they were in Idaho, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Look at Shivet Ketostatic Bafanifi says Northern Lights is a killer deal. Don't ask me why. The last thing that impressed me with the dude Midas has on from Juju, guy looks like he can bench press a car. Steve is a bit of a big boy.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, and he doesn't drink. Which
and he speaks several languages.
And he speaks a multitude of languages.
And he can speak in tongues in several languages.
He can speak in tongues. Oh no.
No, I don't know. No. I take that back. I don't know where that is.
Yeah, let's see.
I can speak in tongues.
No boss man, Steve. Some people were disappointed that we didn't have Steve Meisner on the water cooler chat, and Steve's.
I mean, instead of me, they'd rather have Steve instead of me.
Well, some people clearly would. I mean, you're on every day.
Okay. You know what? Next time I go to the water cooler and they ask me a question, I'm saying nothing.
You're not gonna.
Just sit there.
There we go. So Jordan Botha, who's regular on our show, advises that he loaded up on a couple of gold companies today. Where did it go? I just saw it there. Loaded up on Yamana and Alamos Gold today.
Geez, one of the comments by a viewer on Apple, he said this guy Cook, who's running it, hasn't done anything in 5 years, and if the only thing he's done is made the phone bigger, a little bigger every time. I don't know. Apple, you know what? I'll tell you something. If you study these charts and you look at stocks that correct more than half from their top, and I'm not talking about the smaller ones. I'm talking generally about the bigger ones.
Right.
There's a point of no return, and it has something to do with Fibonacci numbers, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's around 44% of the value of the top. If you get below that, there's so many people, especially in heavily traded issues, that when you get below it, there's such a weight on top of you, can't get it going. Can't get it going. And one that may run the risk is Aphria. Aphria may be one of those. But we're still, what was the high at Aphria, 21?
20 something, yeah. It got up there.
So here we are below 45% of the peak. Just saying. Just saying. Ladies and gentlemen.
Could be. But what do you think, Ed? Is there any deal out there that gets you excited right now in the cannabis space?
In the cannabis space, I think of the cannabis space right now as there's some selective great companies there. There's a lot of probably some that are going to have a tough time unless they get swallowed up. Probably nothing. Maybe the BEE, like I'll say some of the smaller ones that look like they've got a great product. BEER comes to mind. Great tasting beer, and the gentleman we interviewed yesterday, I laughingly suggested they do a combination. He said, "I'll take that under advisement." Like there's probably pockets. We just saw Namaste. Whether it was a move on fundamentals or a move technically, what's the difference? If you buy it at a good price and sell it higher, make a nice pass. But the day of buy and hold looks to be over, doesn't it?
The day of buying and hold being over. Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, I'm going to refer to that graphene manufacturing company,
right,
as an example. Like that's a company where Shell engineers have broken off from Shell to.
Yeah, but that's not in the marijuana space.
Oh, the day of buy and hold in the cannabis sector.
Like in other words, yeah.
I don't know. I would say that I'm still looking for Canopy to break $100 a share. It's obviously not.
Okay, what would make you think that that's not going to happen? Let me ask you that.
What would make me think it's not going to happen?
Yeah, like what would make you change your thesis and say, you know what, maybe I should lay off that bet and try another bet. In other words, if you keep thinking that something's going to happen and it doesn't happen, at some point you got to throw in the towel, right?
Why? Just because it continues not to happen? You can be wrong for a long time.
Yeah, but eventually.
And then ultimately your thesis can be proven right. Like they say, it's fine to make predictions, just don't say when.
Yeah. Well, I like copper as a long-term play, but I'm starting to think now that I'm real early, because of what's happening. But I also think Africa, India, and a lot of countries where there's a lot less, like North America is la-la land, really. If you look at the world, right? You might argue Europe's kind of la-la land. But the electrification of Africa, the Middle East, there's a lot of people out there that are living like a third world nation, correct?
Mm-hmm. Undeveloped nation.
Undeveloped, okay. I said that maybe...
Politically correct terminology, please, Edward.
Undeveloped nation. So when these nations start, you need copper. So that's what I'm looking at. Anyway.
Huh.
But it may take another year or two.
Yeah.
Or 3.
Well, the definition of insanity, according to James Watson here, is when somebody continues to believe that something's going to happen and it never does.
Yeah.
But the definition of insanity is constantly denying an inevitability as well, when it finally does happen.
Well,
for example,
go ahead.
For example, the collapse in the U.S. dollar. One would argue that that's an inevitability, especially given the increasing debt associated with the dollar. There's no way that the U.S. will ever be able to repay that. I bet you if you were to liquidate every asset in the U.S., you wouldn't be able to repay that debt. And you know, so just because we've been making that prediction since 2002, and at 2019 it still hasn't happened, does that make us insane, or does that make us just a little bit ahead of our time? Anyways, that's our show for today. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.